But yeah, and I really liked what the Humentum Living Our Values Guide says when you talk about pressure reveals values. So, how can leaders recognize when pressure might be causing them to move away from their values? What might be some symptoms of that?
Again, so this is where self-awareness comes in, right? So it's both things. Self-awareness so I can hold myself to account, but it's also having a culture in your organization where others can hold you to account, where there's both a level of people of awareness of what the values are. Cause so many times it's on a website. You might look at it once a year if you're lucky, but no one's really living them, walking the talk, living the values on a daily basis. So if it's not embedded in your culture, then you don't have that language or that tool to hold someone to account. So if equity was one of my values and I did something that, you know, was an anti-value. If it's not top of mind, then I'm not going to be thinking about it and no one else is going to be using that as a language to hold me to account. So that's, I think, one of those things. Just calling it out and having the conversation. It's the act of having the conversation within the organization to identify what those behaviors are, the pressure
Mhm.
under values. I like anti-values a lot because I think we can say, okay, what are all the things that we could do wrong? It gives us the permission to think about what someone, maybe not me, could do wrong. And
Mm.
then you can flip them into, okay, so what does that behavior look like? So if one of my core values is equity, I might say, okay, when I feel uncomfortable, I want to have control. So my tendency may be to dominate the space. And then I'm taking space. So how do I cede space when in a time of pressure? That might look like I'm avoiding dominating a space. I'm practicing being humble, listening, being in solidarity with.
Mm.
That's an action. That's a value under pressure because so many times we say, okay, our thought leadership needs to be out there in order to get the funding, in order to bolster our reputation and our brand, or just my own feelings of ego, to be quite honest with you. In that case, I need to be reflective enough to understand that, introspective enough and then say, actually, I am going to cede space and find out how do I be in solidarity with instead of.
Mm.
And that is not, that's hard. It's just hard.